everyone. I'm Barry Stagner, and this is his channel Newsbreak. More than 1 million people thronged Hong Kong streets for a New Year's Day rally for pro-democracy forces, and organizers claimed as protesters looked to carry their movement's momentum into 2020, this was the largest protest thus far. Authorities said the assembly was mostly orderly, but that 5 people were arrested for criminal damage on suspicion of vandalizing the glass door and automated teller machine at a bank along the parade route. Banks and businesses identified with mainland China have been frequent targets of hardcore protesters. Protesters also hurled Molotov cocktails and garbage at officers in the Wan Chai district through which the march route passed. Police used pepper spray and tear gas to drive off the demonstrators, although a government statement said officers had been deploying the minimum necessary force in dispersing the group. March participants were asked to disperse soon after it ends and not to take part in any illegal or violent acts that may occur. To safeguard the rule of law and public peace, the police will enforce the law strictly, the statement said. The massive rally followed overnight clashes between police and protesters on New Year's Eve in a densely populated shopping district. Police also used tear gas, pepper spray, and water cannons to break up the groups of demonstrators who blocked traffic and lit fires in the street in the working-class district of Mong Kok. Hong Kong toned down its New Year's celebrations amid the protests that began in June and which have dealt severe blows to the city's retail, tourism, and nightlife sectors. Eric Lai, the vice governor of the march organizer, the Civil Human Rights Front, said he hoped to avoid a recurrence of the previous night's violence. I really hope that this will be a peaceful protest, Lai said. We hope that the police can facilitate us rather than provoking us and to fire tear gas and water cannon at us. Such marches have often devolved at their conclusion into violence between hardcore, black-clad protesters and police. Both sides have been accused of provoking clashes, and nearly 6,500 protesters as young as 12 have been arrested in scores of incidents on the street, in shopping malls and college campuses as well. Recent protests have drawn participants from across Hong Kong society, sometimes numbering more than 1 million and packing the downtown area from Victoria Park to the government office complex a short distance away. Many joining in are concerned about an erosion of the former British colony's civil liberties it was promised after being handed over to Chinese rule in 1997, along with a shortage of well-paying jobs and a yawning divide between the city's ruling class and those merely getting by amid soaring housing costs. This year's event appeared to be significantly larger than in past years, although estimates of the numbers of participants often vary widely between organizers and police. The protests began in June over proposed legislation that could have allowed residents to be extradited to China, where they could face possible torture and unfair trials. The legislation was withdrawn, but not before the protest expanded to wider calls for reforms in the semi-autonomous Chinese territory. Chief Justice John Roberts, who's on the verge of an extraordinarily high-profile balancing act presiding over the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump, issued a warning on Tuesday about the dangers of misinformation in the internet era. In our age, when social media can instantly spread rumor and false information on a grand scale, the public's need to understand our government and the protection it provides is even more vital. Well, we know that there will be civil unrest in the last days and ethnic tensions as well, according to the words of Jesus, giving us today's reminder to keep looking up.